When I was a child and I was making cakes, and you see all these little things like this, they didn't know that it would create this mall. But I can remember when they would make all these cakes and would have the servants and all do that, and they just plopped these hot dishes, you know, down on it, and haven't been able to get it out of there.
My father tied a rope around each one of us, and on Cthulhu's dock, down the fishing dock, and held us until we got into water, and then made believe he was holding us while we learned to swim, all back and forth across the dock. And we didn't realize he had finally just relaxed the rope altogether. And then we were swimming by then, you know, and wow, this is great. So every time a ship came in for the International Paper Company, would come that way, and they'd make waves, and we'd start running to the river. Start taking off your clothes and run to the river and jump in the water to catch the waves.
The only spanking I ever got was because I went down to the waterfront. Daddy did not allow his little girls down there. The walls were rotten, he said. I was afraid we'd drown, I think. But we had an older cousin from North Carolina. He was, you know, big boy. And he took me with him, took my sisters and me. I was the youngest one. And we just had a delightful time. I couldn't swim, but he looked after me, I guess, because I didn't drown.
But we walked on the dock and climbed all over the dock and played on the lawns of the people at either end of the business district that would let us, and just window shopped. A nickel was a treat because you could buy a nice ice cream cone for a nickel down at the Winyard Pharmacy or at Walgreens when we got the Walgreens on Front Street. That was a big deal. I guess I was in about the 7th grade there. I had a job at the Winyard Pharmacy, which was a privately owned drugstore across the street on the riverside. But every time I got a minute off, I ran over to Walgreens and sat with my friends who hung out in the booths at Walgreens.
I love going to the rice paddy because going to the rice paddy, it brings back such memories as a child. Because as you walk into the rice paddy, you'll see a little tile floor. And that was where they had the wrought iron ice cream tables. It was a drugstore. Little wrought iron tables for ice cream and a little wrought iron fan back chairs. And that was what, and it delights me to tell the guests that are there, you know, how I enjoyed Mann's drugstore when I was a child. And then the bank bought it. And what takes a rag off the bush is the fact that they use the vault for the bank now for the wine bottles. They just lie on there until they're enjoyed by guests. But the lounge part of the rice paddy used to be the barber shop. That's where everybody went to get their hair cut. Children, ladies, men, everybody, because we all had Butcher Brown haircuts at that time.
I grew up during the Depression. My two aunts, Miss Isabel and Miss Martha Lachicotte, had a dairy. And we had to go over there every day and milk those cows. And I promised God if I ever made enough money, I would never milk another cow. Which I haven't, thank goodness. But my father opened the hammock shop in 1938. One of my friends, Joe Ford, a black friend, he and I made all the hammocks. So we manufactured hammocks. I think my father bought the land and built the hammock shop and stocked it, which includes where this house is, for $1,500.
About the time I came on the scene, Doc was ready to expand the business, but his father wasn't in the mood to do that, so he built a garden shop on the grounds. And it started off with just fertilizers and sprays and vases and things, you know, like that, and garden statuary. But little by little, it expanded into other things. And seemed like every year Doc would add a side porch, and then he'd enclose it and add another porch. It grew. As time went on, I helped his mother buy for the original shop. And as they got older, I stepped in more and more. And they dealt a lot with old prints and books and local crafts and that sort of thing.
It was what we called, I guess, a family-owned store, similar to many small towns. But it got to be a very big store because, well, even in the 50s, Myrtle Beach was fairly small, and a lot of Myrtle Beach people shopped in Georgetown because they couldn't find these young, famous brands that the young people wanted. I remember when the Red Sox won, whenever they won, and we had Red Sox all over the windows. I couldn't figure out where they could put another Red Sox because we were very excited.
We were just dancing like this to get there. And I said, we are crazy. He's just a man. When he turned the color on from a high market and to go over the bridge, which I think was a little wider by that time. And we saw it. And he, those fireside chats he gave, we almost thought it was the good Lord speaking. Well, it was comforting. It was indeed.